Good evening. It's Wednesday, March 6, 2024, here at PreciseAlgorithmTrading.com. And let's talk about the markets. Our automated trading systems today. This is the Dow Futures, the YM contract, and our trades for today, 3-6, are right there. So, not bad, but nothing major. Our Russell 2000 is still pulling back. 3-6, we had one trade. We haven't had one for a couple days. It was negative, and the Nasdaq is hopefully making a nice pop here. You know, who knows? It'd be nice if we see that, come back, and those were a nice couple trades actually today. So that fixes a lot of stuff when we've been down like this. So that's good news. They are working. So our manual trading systems. I'm starting here on the Dow because I've been talking about Dow 40,000, which I'm going to say we're falling away from a little bit, but really the structure there on the hourly chart doesn't look terrible. If we start taking out these pivots, then it'll look like we're rolling over. But as of right now, the long-term or the intermediate-term trend with the green line on this chart is still really not in jeopardy. And we've come down, if we came down and tagged the lower dash line here, which is the 2 ATR to the downside, that wouldn't be the end of the world. Although you see last time we tried to even get down to that level, or even these couple times, we didn't even get close. So there's a chance we could even bounce here. We will just continue to watch it. That's the Dow on the straight up, like the Dow Jones Industrial Average when you hear them talk about it on the news. It went up 75 points today. The S&P went up 26 points, or half a percent. The Russell went up 0.7%. The Nasdaq went up 0.58%. So we brought a lot back from what the big sell-off was yesterday. Except, we'll see. Literally looked like the beginning of the end yesterday, and now we'll have to see how these pivots play out. Going to the E-minis, so the futures for the S&P 500, still bullish on the intermediate term. The Russell is consolidating in this zone up here. If this becomes buildup, which it looks like it's trying to do, a breakout of this area makes a ton of sense. There's your Dow futures, and we have, if I zoom in here, that was a break of a channel line that was certainly in place for a while. We came back up. Well, I'll call that retesting it. That's not to say you couldn't retest it again, but it looks like the Dow is considering going down. I think it's just enough, hopefully, to get some bears stirred up, and then this thing will come back up and take out our 40,000. We'll see. It may not happen on this climb. We might have to pull back a little bit before we get there. This has been a pretty, I don't want to call it unprecedented, but a pretty bullish move all the way up here now. That's been going on for, these red lines here are months. So I think they're months between expiration for what it's worth. So we're halfway into this month. That's 1, 2, 3.5, 4 months. This thing's been going almost straight up. Obviously, a lot more sideways in the last 2 or 3 months. The NASDAQ, it's very similar. The intermediate trend is still up. But there's some weakness showing up here as far as red bars and things like that. Still pretty bullish in the camp of momentum though. The MACD is up above 0, so everything it's doing here is a lot of chop. The transports really pulled up nicely today, but they are showing weakness. I think they're showing weakness on the weekly chart too. No, they're not. Pretty bullish. And yeah. Oil went up 1.21% on the USO. So this is doing everything it needs to do to just continue climbing higher. And look how much closer we're getting to our target here. So our high price here is 75.94. Our target's, we'll call it 79. We didn't close there as far as 75.94. Our close is a lot lower, but we got up here to 70, almost 76. And I'm not saying when we hit this target that's going to be the end of it either. I think we'll get back here to where we'll hit this resistance level up here, all these different points, and that's where we'll see some resistance before it either rolls over or breaks down for a little bit, maybe gets some build up and then breaks out from there. Gold, GLD, continues to break out higher, and that's the one I didn't get on. Let's look at TLT for bonds. It's breaking out higher, but doesn't look near as good as the gold play yet. The one I'm not on, this is the one I am on. So XLK made a breakout today, but there's really nothing. There's no tradable signal there. It's not since back in January. So, all right. And then finally, the bullish percent indexes. We'll flip this thing over to a point and figure chart. Type in bullish. The industrials didn't move today. The NYA barely moved. The transports didn't move today. The NASDAQ up by 0.39%. The S&P 500 up by 0.57%. The S&P 100 up by 1.54%. And the the NASDAQ 100 up by 3.39%. And I keep forgetting this, I keep pulling it up, but here's the VIX. The VIX looks poised to go higher, which would send prices lower, generally speaking. And I'm just looking for any kind of clues here. There's really nothing else to take home from that. It's still relatively quiet. If we get a breakout like this, we could get a nice little plunge, probably for a quick trade to the downside. But this thing still looks like it's got some legs to it, so that's just my take on it. There's no guarantees. The market can do whatever it wants to do. And that's what I got for you guys for tonight. Take care, good trading, and have a great night.